Everybody, we are back. It is Taped Online's favorite podcast, favorite channel, favorite everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me. And of course, at Glen Rockney for Glen.
Hey,
And then
that's
at the
me.
subs.com, discount code TDL for 35% off. All right, guys. So today we're doing something a little different for Friday Night Live. We're doing a little bit of mock draft type of stuff. So we're gonna do a 3-round mock draft. Glenn has 3 picks. I have 3 picks myself, and we're kind of gonna go back and forth and talk about that. So we are here. Since we did our waste of a Cliff Kingsbury breakdown, that was exciting. We wasted a
I
lot of time.
know.
That was great.
Oh, oh, God, killer. I mean, it was. I mean, the Washington guy you sent it to or whatever, like he must have. He's lucky. I'm just gonna say it was a great breakdown. I mean, just all for naught. I will say I have not made the comments on here. I like Luke Getzey, and I
Okay.
actually you could probably hear it in my voice. I was almost rationalizing the Kingsbury thing. I wasn't a big fan of the hire, so I like Getzey's philosophy and style. I understand the last tenure. We'll find out if he was at fault, but I like where he comes from, and I like his style. I think it fits what AP. When the Raiders hired AP, this is what I thought the offense was going to the identity
Yeah.
was going to look like. Not the Kingsbury thing was a weird thing, like a weird fit with AP. I thought.
Yeah, that was a weird hire. I thought Kingsbury was weird because they're like, let's throw a vertical, and they hired Cliff Kingsbury. Super weird thought process. And you look at Luke Getzey, he is very vertical. He throws deep a lot, has a lot of deep concepts. I mean, kind of his problem is the short concepts, but we'll see if that changes since he doesn't have Justin Fields anymore because Justin Fields can't really do the short passing game with his style of play. So this could be interesting to see how that works with Luke Getzey coming in here and see what kind of quarterback they bring in here. I mean, his comments today were very interesting. Talk about how he wants an athletic guy and how that's needed in today's NFL. I thought that was very interesting comments, especially for somebody like Aiden O'Connell, who is back there, who just met Derek Carr the other day. They had a great moment on for all the tabloids and give us something to write about this week and during dead season. So, so that was interesting. What are your thoughts about that? Him talking about athletic quarterbacks.
Well, for one, it's correct. I think, but largely. You got to have at least a baseline of kind of athletic. I think you don't have to be Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson. I don't think you have to be that to win. In fact, I think sometimes that gets you in trouble when you want to win, when you're like overly athletic, playing hero ball in the run game as a quarterback. That can, whether you're not available for your team by being injured or you fumble, teams take that away from you. I just think you need that functional mobility, which Aiden does not have. I mean, that's just a fact. He just does. He has to be, Aiden to me is like, and we're going to talk about this with one of my selections. Aiden is a valuable part of this roster in a sense that he is I think he's a functional, almost starter in the league. We'll see with some upside. To me, he's like a Matt Schaub, who I think everybody thinks is like terrible because of the pick sixes and stuff. And throwing a pick six as a fake field goal with the Raiders. But for the most part, Matt Schaub led some pretty good Houston teams like to the playoffs and really distributed the ball well. That's what I see with him. AP is correct though. They got to go chase a higher ceiling and have Aiden as your good backup. That's a well-constructed team. It costs you nothing, almost nothing, to have Aiden O'Connell on your roster this year. It costs you everything to hinge him as the starter though. Hinge everything as a first-year coach who some people don't think is qualified to coach this team, to be like, I'm going to have Aiden O'Connell. And I'm going to have every other part of my offense and defense on point with no flaws. That's a tough gamble.
Yeah. The most interesting part of this week was they did like an NFL executive, like kind of looking at the head coaching hires. He didn't get one vote from any NFL executives. Didn't get one vote at all. So I kind of see how the NFL kind of looks at him. And I thought that was super interesting, man. Like, damn, like they really don't think that he's a good coach. He went in there and he did a good job and brought that team up. But I guess the whole interim thing, and he, of course, a little bit of his attitude, of course, that's going to rub some people the wrong way all the time. But, Andy Reid thanked him. So obviously the Chiefs respect him as a coach, and that's a big thing for me. So, he has the respect of the AFC West. I don't know about the whole NFC and the rest of the league, but the AFC West, they're on high alert because we kicked their ass. So
I know that's the thing. He's not. I don't think he's this Jeff Saturday type of guy that other people are saying. I will say AP has not been in the NFL coaching ranks for a long time enough to garner executive respect. It's like some of these guys don't know him. Like Marvin Lewis, Tom Coughlin, and guys that he's consulting. They're not on, and they're not NFL execs right now or whatever. They're not any of those guys to vote in that poll. So I will say, a lot of times, like I saw like Ryan Clark, and I know that, these guys are buddies. Like AP's been doing the podcast circuit recently, and they've been very good interviews, I thought, and really, really insightful. And I actually more confidence than I even had before in AP to be able to establish an identity with this team and be a leader of men. I just think, like, you hear Ryan Clark, you hear all these guys, they're just like, man, no, like, you've always had it, man. Like, you've always had it. But he listened to his elders. He has a respect for his elders, and they kind of turned him from like just that nasty attitude, physicality that you saw the Raiders play with. But he was that type of player, but with kind of like a Tasmanian devil of a player. But now it seems that listening to his elders like Marvin Lewis, Tom Coughlin, etc., has turned him into like something else. So it's a gamble by the Raiders. No, it is. It absolutely is. Like, it's not a surefire thing, but I feel right about it. And I'm a doomer usually with the Raiders.
Yeah, I feel good about AP. I just like his attitude. I think he's going to bring a lot of players in because the NFL doesn't like that attitude. But the NFL didn't like Bruce Arians. Kind of the same. And Bruce Arians, I mean, he's kind of the same way a little bit, and kind of just rough around the edges and kind of just in your face. And the NFL did not want to hire him for the longest. And when they finally did, look at him. He won a Super Bowl. I mean, he did bring in Tom Brady, but he had Carson Palmer in the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
So
sure.
let's go there. So the other news today, which we had some questions about. So Garoppolo, Mr. Performance Enhancing Drug. We don't know what he was taking. He took a medication. That's going to be interesting to figure out what that medication is. We can all speculate. We know Jimmy Garoppolo is known to pay for some time because he had I don't know, that one chick, and she's definitely a payer for some time. So we know Jimmy Garoppolo likes to do that. So who knows? We can just speculate with all that. You know what I mean? But this was actually a blessing for the Raiders, which was so cool about this. This was such a big deal. That's a blessing for them because he had his contract voided, his roster bonus was voided, which gave the Raiders $11 million more in cap space. So they went from 36 million cap space to 47 by him just having a performance enhancing drug. So this was a blessing in disguise and helps the Raiders build this football team through free agency or whatever they want to do. Sign some of these guys that they like, re-sign, whatever they want to do. It makes them more flexible. This is a good thing. What are your thoughts?
A lot. I have a lot of thoughts on this, but part of me was like, once I found out that the cap space happened, because for a while I was like, well, if he's going to be dead money, he seems like a nice guy. We might as well let him get the money if we can't use it. But then I saw that the cap space would open up, or a certain amount of it would open up, and I was kind of like, dang, did somebody spike his marinara at the team facility or something? And like, a little sausage and pepper action, like, hey, special olive oil with like, Tren or some gear in it or something. I'm not suggesting that happened, but it is weird because I'm like, if that didn't happen, Jimmy, you need to get a refund. Because a lot of people do steroids to stay healthy, bounce back quicker after injuries, and up their play. I didn't see any of that happen last year. So, look, maybe he was taking it in for the Niners and it got him some more money. So we can't say it didn't work. But for me, I was like, hey, man, I expect a little bit more if you're going to be on juice, dude.
Yeah. It was just a big blessing because that's the thing, because the Raiders would have to have all that dead cap with him. This guy from Sports Track, he tweeted out that 17 million of the dead cap here includes the bonus money allocated to those void years, so it'll only be a one-time dead cap hit in 2024 and nothing more. So it's like a big deal that he got suspended. Like, it really helped everything with the Raiders. So like, man, are we gonna have a good season this year? Because this was a crazy blessing out of nowhere. Yeah. To be honest, like, it just came. It was a shock. Like, he's been quiet, and all of a sudden he gets suspended, and then it opens everything up, and they can release him. It really is pretty crazy because now the Raiders have a lot more cap room. They can work some things out, and Tom Telesco likes to spin big on free agents.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I expect trades. Jim Nagy was talking about this, and this could factor into some trade up conversations as well. Jim Nagy, I don't know if you saw his comments. Jim Nagy's the director of the Senior Bowl. He had that's a great comment, by the way. And yeah, you got to be careful. I mean, it's a gas station, Jimmy. Spend some money. But with the Senior Bowl director, Jim Nagy said, like, hey, with the COVID year, it's kind of a weird year. I think rounds 5 through 7 I don't know that you're going to have as much depth in the draft this year. So for me, what I saw as Tom Telesco, just like who has made some big trades, like Khalil Mack in recent history, take some of those late round picks and trade them for veterans. Like, this team has some good young talent on it. Let's go get some like fun veterans that kind of like nasty guys on defense. You know what I mean? Like that nasty attitude that you need that we want the Raiders to have again. Like, use that 6th round pick for somebody that a team's trying to offload some cap space with. Similar to what what Stephon Gilmore got traded for, right? Like in history, recent history, just make those type of moves. And I think AP, he's definitely a recruiter. So this is interesting. This is going to be really, really interesting. I'm actually really excited, and I think Raider fans are going to be shocked. I think there's going to be a lot of action.
There's going to be a lot of movement in free agency, I believe. I think they're going to be trying to build this team up and kind of fill those holes a little bit, kind of get ready for the draft, especially if they want to trade up, which we'll talk about in a second, a little bit here. Before we get to more into the draft, let's see some of these questions. Somebody asked me about Getsy. Marcus, you think with Getsy, Adams would be on the slot a lot? Yes. I really believe that's going to change. I think he's not going to be the deep guy. I think they're going to try to get some fast wide receivers. I don't know who they are going to be. I don't know if they're going to do that in the draft. I don't know, but they're going to try to get some faster guys in here because to throw a vertical, they don't have a vertical team right now. They got Trey Tucker. I guess Jacoby Myers and Devontae Adams can win deep, but they're, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
You need one more kind of burner, like just a 5'11", 6 foot even kind of burner to get down the field. They need one more of those.
Yeah, so somebody asked about the dead cap. I was like, I don't know. So thank you, Derek Long, for answering that question. It was like, I didn't know about the dead cap. What else? What else here? Answer. No, I don't know. All right, so let's get into the draft now. Let's talk draft. All right. Raiders are at 13 right now. Ian Rappaport dropped the bomb that everybody's excited about, that the Raiders are going to be aggressive to move up. I talked about a little bit on the last episode that we did about free agency, about trading up, and how it's going to be interesting to see what they give up if they make that move, and how I kind of wanted them to do it on draft night so they don't have to give up as much. But I mean, if they're going to be aggressive, we'll see. So what
doesn't happen much anymore, right? That doesn't happen. Like I feel like the trades are way beforehand for the top picks.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think for them to get to 8, if somebody falls to 8 or something, that could happen draft night, absolutely. But the top 3 a lot of times is set by draft night now. I think teams try to it's an arms race once the league year starts usually, and it's like in March. It just seems to happen a lot ever since that Jared Goff year when he came out with, what was it, Mariota maybe? I think. Not Mariota.
Carson Wentz. Yeah.
That year, I think both 1 and 2 traded out, and it was way before I thought the draft. And so ever since then, I think teams have been like, well, we get a lot more time with not only that pick that we acquired, are the loss of our other picks. We know what our board looks like, and we know what to target. So I think a lot more teams are doing that. Now, that being said, I think they can move up, 5 spots if they need to on draft night. That's better value.
Yeah. I mean, the Texans did move up from 12 to 3 last year, but that wasn't for quarterbacks, for Will Anderson.
That was crazy still.
Yeah. Because just my thing is that they only gave up 2 first-round picks, and like the Niners gave up 3, and I don't even know what the Panthers did. The Panthers they gave up their whole life. So to move up, they gave up DJ Moore, and they gave now they have nothing. They're garbage, and they gave the other team, the Bears. They gave the Bears Caleb Williams. So it was very interesting for them to do all of that. And that would have been funny if they didn't give up some of those picks, and they got Bryce Young, or just somehow, some way. I'm just saying they got Bryce Young, and they would still finish 1, and then they would want to draft Caleb maybe again
Marvin
because
Harrison, or even Marvin Harrison. You know, you just take Marvin Harrison at 1, or Joe Alt, or one of these like big tackles. You would have somebody to help Bryce Young that you wouldn't have this year.
yeah. So that's how it's gonna be interesting. Also, it's super early right now, right? And I think that we don't know anything about these quarterbacks and how the NFL fully looks at them, and we're not gonna find that out to the combine. That's when everybody starts talking, the drinks start flowing at the Jasmine Hotel, that everything starts going. Guys just start spilling their life. They might tell somebody who we're trading for on accident.
Are you going? Are you going?
Yeah, I'm going.
Oh, hell
So
yeah. Let's go.
yeah, so that's where it really the wheeling and dealing goes.
Yep.
Right. I mean, everybody's there. The GMs are talking. I'm telling you that the drinks are flowing. There's going to be a lot of speculation. That's when we first going to get the idea of where these guys are at, where they're going, because JJ McCarthy is just over the shadow of Jaden Daniels and Drake May. He's just creeping. He's just slowly creeping in there.
Yep.
So it's gonna be interesting to see how his interviews go, how these other guys, end up. It's gonna be the combine's a big deal. It's a huge deal, man.
Yeah, no, it totally is. I see a question. Somebody saying, are all the top QBs throwing at the combine? I think that's an interesting take. I doubt Williams will. I think not that Williams is 100% the number 1 pick. It just kind of as of now seems like he is. I think May, Daniels, McCarthy, Penix, Nix, Rattler, all those guys should be throwing, I think. Because Daniels could go ahead of May, and McCarthy, he could be 2 to Washington, unless he knows he's already going to be 2. There could be some stuff worked out, perhaps. But for the most part, I expect a lot of those guys throwing.
I don't know. I bet Drake May and Williams don't throw.
Really?
I bet those two.
You think May's locked in like that?
I think he thinks he is, but I don't know if he really is.
Fair.
Yeah, I think with May, it's gonna be interesting to see how the NFL really feels about him when they watch him on film. I think he has some incredible throws, and that's the thing. If the Raiders move up to 3, right? Do they take Drake May? Are they planning on taking May or Daniels? Because what if Daniels goes 2 if they trade up to 3, right?
You'd have to be okay with both, I think, if you did that move. Now, if you did it on draft night, you'd know, right? At 3, for the most part, you'd know. But yeah, if you were doing this in late March, if you did this trade, you would have to go like, all right, I am okay with any of the top 3 quarterbacks, which I'll put my hand up right now. I think I am too. I think you are. I think a lot of people are. You could talk yourself into all of it. Like, this team is not the Panthers. There are wide receivers here. There is a tight end. There is a somewhat competent defense behind them, we think. So I understand. I would understand the move. I think every Raider fan would be excited about it. Everybody has their preference, but I think if you do it early, you're okay with the top 3.
Yeah, because if you trade up to 3, that's the thing. If Daniels goes 2, right, or even if the Commanders trade up to 1, the Bears trade back, however that goes, right? It's trading up to 3 with the Patriots. You would have to be like, okay, we're taking May or we're taking Daniels, right? Now, me personally, I would want Daniels over May. I went extensive with these quarterbacks. So I'm really behind on the draft right now because I went extensive. I was like, you know what? Let me try to figure this out. I watched like 6 games on these guys, probably the most I've done on quarterbacks during draft season. And I would take Daniels over May just because May has this kind of quirk that I'm a little. He scares me to death. But he has some of the best throws on film. But he terrifies me. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Yeah, it's just.
I hear you. I like that. I'm the same way. I have Daniels as QB1 for me personally. Like,
okay.
I like him more than Caleb. I just do. I just think Daniels. Now, your breakdown was absolutely correct. You can't find many instances of him sliding and avoiding big hits, and that's going to be a problem. We saw Anthony Richardson, who's much bigger than him, struggle with finishing games this year by kind of taking hits that he shouldn't. And if that's happening to Daniels, that would scare me. But at the end of the day, I like Daniels. I think Daniels is the guy. If you're trading up, I would hope that's who they're trying to get. Just even though I'm okay with the top 3, that's who I would hope.
Yeah, because with Jaden Daniels, I'm a big Caleb Williams guy. I am. I'm be honest with you. I really like Caleb. I think Caleb is really really damn good. I'm big. He's grown from the actual Heisman year to this year. I thought he was really better in the pocket this year. He's a great pocket move. He's super accurate, great mechanics. He's just short. That's my only problem with him. He said he's short. But other than that, if he was 6'4", man, it would be. He's legit, man, and that's my thing. If the Raiders trade up to 1, you have to take him, in my opinion. If they trade up to 1 to Jane Daniels, I'd be a little upset.
Yeah, no, I agree. I understand. Look, Caleb, I have a bias against only because he didn't shred my team.
Yeah,
my team, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, made him look like a junior varsity quarterback.
They did.
It was bad, and look, that's a pretty good defense. I'm like, when did Caleb just shred a good defense in this last year? Like, when did he take a good defense and just make them like just dog walk them? And maybe he did. Maybe you saw it happen. I didn't personally, and that's what's scary to me. I think Jaden Daniels, it was a bit more collegey the way he did it. I thought. I think that's a fair thing. Drake May is a total wild card because what you're saying is UNC stinks, and this guy's bad.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. Drake May's scared to get hit.
Yeah, it's a wild card. No, and it's a wild card too. I'm just saying you're betting on the fact that I think I have a better team than the North Carolina Tar Heels, and I think I can coach this kid.
Yeah, it's young, but he scares me because he doesn't like tackle football, and that's my thing with him. He's just a lot of the things I see people like. If you really watch it, and people show things that like, oh my god, look at this nuance, and it's really him not wanting to be hit or be touched. And if you hit him early, his mechanics go off. He starts throwing accurate. Like the Clemson game, man, the first play of the game, they punched him in the mouth, and Miami did too. And he just doesn't look good after that. He just doesn't stand in the pocket as strong, and so that's why he scares me, right? Because we're Raiders fans, so yeah, we know that.
Fair. No, it's fair. He'd be the biggest risk of the top 3 to me. He would be. He would be.
We know this. I know the ceiling of a guy like that. You know what I mean? So the whole ACC figured him out, and so the NFL is gonna take 2 weeks. So hey, we just go watch the Miami game and the Clemson game, and they all did the same thing. And that's my issue with Drake May.
Right?
You know what I mean? That's why I would be a little bit terrified of him. But he also will do 7 throws in the same game. Where I'm like, oh my god, oh wow.
And that ball coming out of his hand, it just looks phenomenal. Everybody's a sucker for just the way the ball comes out of the quarterback's hand. And it's
man.
I think of the 3, it looks the best coming out of his hand.
The Georgia Tech game, it really kind of shows how Drake May plays, because he has seven great throws in that game. He has 7 big time throws on PFF. I saw all of them; they're all incredible. But then he has the worst intentional grounding, and it's because he doesn't want to get hit. So he panics and he throws the ball away, and they lost that game. So that's the type of thing. It's with guys like that, when they have those amazing throws, you have to look for the small stuff with them. And he just, if you have a good line though, I think you'd be all right with him. So I think it's time. I think it's time we start getting into this mock draft here. See if we got any other thoughts, questions here. I saw something about AP episode, right tackle, first round. We're gonna get into that, guys.
I feel like we'll cover all of this in our picks.
Yeah. That backup. Yeah, I think the veteran backup thing, I think we already have one. That's my thing.
Yeah, agreed. I think the Aiden O'Connell advantage is that you have a quarterback on a cheap contract that started games, looked good at times, obviously struggled at times, is limited, but can, it is a new offense, so we'll see. But for the most part, he can keep it going. He can have he has chemistry with a lot of the players around him, and I think that's something you can use. That's a valuable chip to have on your team, is that when you're drafting a quarterback, if you want to draft a quarterback, you at least know that you have that guy that you've seen do it before.
Exactly. So for this mock draft, guys, we stayed at 13 here. Okay, this is
right.
The first mock draft of the season. We're gonna do some trade ups, guys. Later on, we're gonna do some trade ups and mix it up. But we wanted to keep it basic. My mock draft is with the Raiders signing a veteran quarterback that they really like. That's how my mock draft is gonna look. So we're gonna take that
Who do you think? Who
scenario.
did you have in mind? Who did you have in mind? So I want the audience to know while you're making your picks. Who did you have in mind? Who did you have wearing the Raiders jersey when you were making your picks?
I'm thinking Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, or Kirk Cousins. So I was thinking those three.
Gotcha.
Right, those are three guys where we'd be like, okay, we can start with them going forward. It might frustrate some fans, but the team wants to win now, so you'd be like, we can sign this guy, we can go forward. You know how teams do, right? So it would be one of those three, in my opinion, for this scenario that I'm doing. All right, and your scenario is going to be, we wait at 13 and we get the guy that we like. So it's that's what Glen's doing.
Yeah.
And we mix it up here, guys, with those mock drafts. So let's get into it first. I'm gonna get into your pick first, man, because it's more exciting.
Okay.
All right. Glen, who'd you go with at 13? Who'd you go
So with the 13th pick in the 2024 NFL draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select JJ McCarthy, University of Michigan. He's look, love the size. He needs to put a little bit of weight on, I think, but I think that'll happen. He's young. I understand all of the criticism of JJ McCarthy. It's there. I get it. I do think when you see quarterbacks lately like CJ Stroud coming out of Ohio State, where I was just so wrong on him because I do think his college system was kind of weird the way it worked around him. Now, for JJ, it worked, but I think there's an untapped potential in him. Now, with the 13th pick of JJ McCarthy, I still think Aiden O'Connell is the starter for year one. And I think some fans hate that. But let's look at guys who were taken high in the draft that sat their first year, like their entire first year, perhaps played towards the end when either playoff seeding was clinched or they're out of it. I would say Jordan Love and Pat Mahomes are both quarterbacks that the Raiders would gladly take right now. And I see with JJ McCarthy the ability to throw off platform. Matt Holder did a wonderful breakdown on this channel of him just throwing off platform kind of and really just not losing any velocity. The tools are all there. And I do think with like a Luke Getsy offense where you're pounding the rock, and you guys love my third round pick with this. So I'm drafting around JJ McCarthy here. But I'm also letting Aiden O'Connell be the diet version of him for a while. And again, I'd love to have Jaden Daniels, love to have Caleb Williams, love to have Drake May, but the Raiders sit back, keep all their assets, and have two quarterbacks for cheap that can run their offense.
All right, JJ McCarthy at 13. So somebody has a question for you. Is Bo Nix not available in the scenario?
I'm taking JJ over Bo Nix. You can put me on record there. I think Bo Nix is a bigger Alex Smith, which is fine. I don't hate him. I just think he's a bigger Alex Smith with a little bit more athletic upside. I just don't see it with him. I don't know. I don't see it with him. With JJ, I get the production issues. I get the lack of throwing. I understand. I'm down to have an Antonio Pierce nasty attitude, run the football, play action. And I don't want my quarterback throwing too much, to be honest. I want important throws, big throws. I don't want and I want wide open throws because they've established everything up front. That's what I want this team to be.
Yeah. So for JJ McCarthy, I think JJ is very talented. All right. So he has a big arm, very big arm, right? And a lot of velocity on that arm, man, especially to the middle of the field. Definitely shows some velocity outside the numbers. That's why I tried to watch some more games, because I went and watched him versus Maryland, which he actually didn't play very well, but you got to see him throw outside the numbers.
Sure. So
that was important. So you saw that he could do it. He had a chance to do it in that game. He had to throw a little bit more in that game, but of course it wasn't very well. But what I'll say about him is he's the opposite of Drake May. Like, he's just tough as hell. That's a tough dude. He has a lot of toughness to him. He'll take a hit while he's in the pocket. He'll get smashed. He has that ability to him too, and he's going to make some plays. And when he gets out of the pocket, he is special. It's my thing with JJ, and what my worry is, which I do see he's a third down machine, but usually it was 3rd and 7. 3rd and 8s, right? And he's completing those 12-yard passes and getting them first downs, keeping the ball moving. You just don't see him throw downfield a lot. Yeah. And, I see him pass up things for like a smarter throw, or get locked in on a shorter throw. I don't know if that's so. I don't know if it's Harbaugh or him. Right. And that's my thing with JJ McCarthy. That's kind of want to figure out. And of course, the accuracy deep is not very good when he does throw deep. So, but he's a fit for this offense. They're gonna like him. To be honest, I think if they talk to him and they meet him, and we know they're going to interview every single quarterback. We all know that.
Of course.
So at the combine, they're all getting formal interviews, especially the big four. These guys, I call them the big four because I think Bo Nix and Michael Penix. I think Penix is his buzz is starting to deep dive a little bit. So, but McCarthy, he could rise, man. And I think it's somebody the Raiders are gonna just like his personality and his toughness. And he can run his own read. He can run the QB powers. He can run all that stuff. He does QB counter at Michigan. He does all of it. So, I mean, he is a fit for the offense. It's just, to me, it's more about can he throw deep consistently? So,
and I'll say this. So somebody's in there saying you could pick up JJ McCarthy in the second round. I'll say this right now. You're saying this. This person is saying this in February. A month from now, you will disagree. You will not be able to pick him up in the second round. I think he's going to rise. I think he's going to be the QB4. And when QB 1 through 3 goes 1, 2, 3, QB4 then gets overdrafted. It just does. It's just what happens. You're not going to see, especially because next year you're already hearing about how next year's quarterback class kind of stinks. So teams are going to be scrambling to go get these guys. 2, if he's your guy, you take him wherever. It doesn't matter. I could even see them moving up to like pick 7 to get him or something, or with the Giants or something. I'm telling you guys, I think he's going to rise. And with the deep throws, okay, this is why I want him sitting year 1. If things go bad, you play him. It's just the goal with drafting him. The reason you draft him high is you get the 5th-year option. And with these young quarterbacks, that 5th-year option is gold, right? We saw it with Lamar Jackson. He was able to play for so many years without getting paid yet. And then they were able to establish a better team through the draft and other things around him. That's what you do with JJ McCarthy, and you use the valuable chip that is Aiden O'Connell as the bridge starter with that. Some people won't like it, and some people will hate the fact. Some people think you have to play these quarterbacks early. Did Bryce Young benefit from playing last year?
No, hell no.
No, I don't think he did. I think Andy Dalton could have started those games last year, and perhaps they would have honestly got the Bears, at least made the Bears not have the 1 pick.
Yeah, Bears Justin Fields.
Yeah, I'm not saying he gets them in the playoffs. I just mean you could at least not be have everyone go, man, why did they trade? I think you're going to see a trend with guys sitting a little bit more nowadays. So that's just the model I would go with. And I think the Raiders are going to be super big on JJ McCarthy.
So I just want to confirm my thoughts on film with the stats with JJ McCarthy. And so, I mean, with throws over 20 yards, which I'm talking about more like 40 over 40 yards.
Go ball.
Right. Yeah, right. But he still was 37th in this draft class. It throws over 20 yards.
It's a problem. It's a
37th. So, just compare Jaden Daniels, he's 24th. And, so Caleb Williams is 23rd. I think May's pretty high up there because, Drake May's 8th and Penix is 7th. So, but, throwing downfield in college should be a lot easier. That's just my thing with JJ. So, yeah. But I don't know if that's Harbaugh. Harbaugh does have Mr. the greatest check down that you'll ever see now. So maybe he's excited for that. It's going to work out for them. All right. Oh, I just did my pick. I didn't even introduce it. I just showed it. A little flash. You saw it. But this was tough for me, man. I went back and forth with this for so long because I was picking a quarterback and I was staying at 13. And there's so many options for me. I thought okay, I had JC Latham first. I was going to go JC Latham because I was okay, he plays right tackle and he's sound. He's from Alabama. They might like him because he's 6'6", 359. He's pretty good movement skills for him. It's but then I could go Byron Murphy. Byron Murphy is probably one of the best defensive tackles in this draft, and they can make that work with him, and that would be a big upgrade. I thought maybe I'd go Olu because what if Olu falls there? And then I want to take Olu and then move him to right tackle. Yeah. And I was oh, man, maybe I took Olu there. Right? It was everywhere for me, man. It was literally a lot of things I could do. I could have went corner, but I did go Talisi Fuaga from Oregon State. I just went with it. And mostly why I went with Talisi is run blocking. So that's the difference that kind of separates him
Yeah.
from JC Latham. Because I almost went the dude from Georgia in the second round and going like Byron Murphy here and taking the dude from Georgia in the second round who played right tackle. I can't think of his name.
Amarius Mims, perhaps.
Yes, him. But because he has injury history, he's huge. I know he's not going to go in the first round. He
Yeah.
played like 8 games a season. He's no way he's going first round.
Injury.
He might go third round because of his injury history, to be honest.
You're
So I thought about going Byron Murphy there and taking him in the second round, but I went to Talisi. I think Talisi is just a monster, man, and he will take this run game to another level. You could, if they want to move him inside the guard, they could do that, but I think he has the arm length to play right tackle. The Raiders don't really, I mean, they have Thayer Mumford, but Mumford hasn't really taken that job. You would want to, by year 2, you don't want Mumford to take that job from Luminor, to be honest, in my opinion.
Wasn't he better at left? Wasn't he a little Mumford having a little bit? The problem with him was I felt like backing up Colton Miller. He was a lot better, I thought.
Yeah.
So like you would at least want him to be your swing lineman, which I think is a great situation to be in.
Yeah. That's what you would want, is for him, Mumford, to be a swing lineman at this point, I guess. I mean, he's a 7th round pick, so you can't be like, too hard on him. 7th round. But to get that much that you got out of him is pretty good for a 7th round pick. I mean, it's a good job right there. But he was a pretty high herald guy going into his final senior year. But I think with Fuaga, the difference is run blocking, man. Because even PFF, I mean, he's the highest run blocking. You watch him on film, it's just constant, just domination.
Yeah.
And he went to the Senior Bowl and he played really well at the Senior Bowl. He had a great Senior Bowl. He has great film against Latu. He shut Latu down.
Yes, he did.
Latu didn't get any pressures against him, and Latu has like a 40% win rate or some crazy shit like that. So, man, because you could move him to guard if you wanted to, if you really wanted to, and that was what your thought process was. But you didn't play guard the Senior Bowl, so I don't know if that's really going to happen at this point. But yeah, that's my pick right there, man. It's Talisi Fuaga.
That is some. I don't mind the Raiders going in that direction. For the sake of content, I'd like to just be like, what if they take a quarterback? What if they don't? But for the most part, like if you take Byron Murphy, Talisi Fuaga, if you take, there's a lot of guys. I'm even one of those guys. Like, man, if Neighbors or Adunze is there, I'm like, all right. Like I'm not gonna be mad if that happens. Like if they're able to get like a Malik Neighbors as the deep kind of field stretcher with Adams in the slot and like Myers and stuff, like you'd have to think about that. There's a lot of ways for them to go in the first round.
Yeah. That's the comp for him, and I was thinking, man, because he plays right tackle, and just the way he moves and the way he run blocks. So I'm trying to think of right tackles in the NFL. I mean, because it's really like the super stud right tackle. So I'm trying to think of some left tackles. I mean, I saw somebody say Penei Sewell, but I feel like that's just too easy. I don't know. I kind of want to go Colton Miller, to be honest. I was, even that sounds crazy, but I think Miller had that kind of power that he has coming out, and we see that, and he's diverse. Like when Colton Miller was coming out, he was like 6'7", huge dude. He was kind of raw, but he played right tackle too as a junior, played left tackle as a senior, which I still never understand why they switched him and Donald Penn. That's a different conversation, because he played right tackle over a whole junior year. But anyways, Colton Miller, he was a big moving guy, just kind of like Fuaga is, and was powerful as a run blocker. So that's kind of what I want to do. But it's easy to go Penei Sewell, but this was a monster, bro. But that's the thing, you can move him inside. You really could. You could move inside and be perfectly fine. And if you want to do that, you can. And that's up to them, though.
Yeah, I like the Tevin Jenkins with longer arms. I like that. I saw that in the comments. That's what Tevin Jenkins was billed as, and he's getting there. Like he's having much better success as his career as he develops. But no, I agree. To me, I think a team like the Jets will try to get him. But for the most part, tackle is such a what are you trying to do? Joe Alt, if you just want the best all around, My Notre Dame Irishman Joe Alt is a monster. But then if you want pass protection with that like elite pass protection Orlando Pace upside, you're going to go Fashanu. If you want to run the football, if you want to be nasty in the trenches like the Jets do, you'll see like Fuaga. And then if I don't know, there's just a lot of routes for tackle one is going to look a lot different for a lot of these teams.
Yeah, and JT Latham is really good too, man. That's a really good tackle. James Morgan is a good tackle. This O-line class is crazy. Yeah. So, I mean, if the Raiders wanted to wait, I mean, Graham Barton is a great guard. Jackson Powers, this is a dude from West Virginia. I haven't got to watch him, but he's number 34 for Danny Jeremiah. There's just guards everywhere. There's tackles everywhere. So, if the Raiders want to get a tackle and wait, this is the draft to do it, because literally they could probably wait and they can get James Morgan at 44, because a lot of these guys are going to get mixed up a little bit. So it's going to be interesting that way. But all right. Any questions? Maybe he's like Robert Gallery.
I know. Come on, man. Can we not do this in February?
Tevin Jenkins. Yeah, it's a little bit. I can see Tevin Jenkins.
I like that.
Pretty big. Pretty big pro.
But with longer arms, and I mean, Tevin Jenkins with longer arms is pretty damn good, probably.
That's just Parham going to center, re-sign Van Roden. I don't trust Van Roden one more year. I just don't. Like we got that superstar year from Van Roden. I just don't. He's like, I just don't want to see it. And if they move Parham to center, they could do that. But
go get a real center. Yeah, go get a real center, and then
Bushyberry's coming. I don't. We signed his O-line coach. He's coming over here. I know.
Got it.
That's gonna be it.
That's a good prediction there. That's a good prediction. Clip that.
You might get a Damian Lewis too, or something. Might trade for Damian Lewis. Might just get their whole line. Yeah. All right, let's get to the second round. Let's go with my second round pick first. So here, I took a little bit of a gamble with this guy because I'm just gonna feel like he's gonna get lost in the mist of wide receivers, offensive linemen, and cornerbacks and quarterbacks. And I think defensive tackle is going to be, which the NFL does not have high value in the first place.
Yeah,
is going to be a lot higher. And this guy's a tweener that I took, but he was a monster at the Senior Bowl. Probably, I think he broke the Senior Bowl PFF grade record or something I saw today. And that man is Darius Robinson.
Yeah.
From Missouri. Okay. Now I wish I had some film for this guy, because when I watched Jarvis Daniels versus Missouri, I started watching him, and that is the type of thing that is crazy for me. And there's this one point where there's a zone read for Jaden Daniels, and he was able to stay with Jaden and tackle him in the backfield. And the thing is with him is that he's a tweener, okay, but he's 286 pounds, and he played defensive end at Missouri. So in today's NFL, that's not defensive end. You can't play defensive end at 286. There's not one defensive end in this whole NFL that's 286. So he played it inside the Senior Bowl, played a lot of defensive tackle. This is a guy, too. He's 286. That is super easy to get to 295.
Absolutely.
I can get you to 295 super easy. Look at those arms. He's 6'5", 42 pressures, 17% win rate at that weight. And I'm telling you, when he was inside at the Senior Bowl, he was eating people up. And I think this is somebody, if you get him at 44 – or whatever the Raiders want to do to try to get this type of player in, you can have that dynamic guy who could play outside on third down. If you want to go 5 across, if you want to do like a over, what they call over or bear front, he could play that 5 technique, or what they call 4-eye, whatever the mixture of that too. And then he could play inside on third down, a 3 technique, and rush the passer. You could have Kuntz, Tyree Wilson, Darius Robinson, and Max Crosby. So I think that is something that you could really mix it up with. It's just how the NFL takes his Senior Bowl and applies it. But I still think with defensive tackles, they can get mixed up a little bit. This is something that's not valued super high. Like the best defensive tackles in the league, they're not all first-round picks. So I think that's something that they could do if they don't go, even if they get like a Matabuke or Christian, even if they get Christian or somebody like that, you can still give somebody like this. And he's so versatile, it could really work, in my opinion.
I think that's a great pick. I think hell, I think I like it more than my second round pick that's coming up. But I like it a lot. It allows you to be a little bit multiple. I think, like, to where, okay, you're going to play a team that likes to run to the outside. Kuntz has had a nice year, but maybe you have a 286-pound defensive end that's able to set the edge. Then, like you said, that kind of as the NASCAR package, as it's always billed as, the kind of one where it's just 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8, where you just send everybody after. Because I think in all this, I think Tyree Wilson's going to make some huge leaps. I don't think he's bad. I think a lot of fans now have kind of cooled their jets now that he's been moved around a little bit. I expect this updated regime, I should say, on defense to kind of move him around and put him in more advantageous, like, who's their smallest offensive lineman? Tyree, go get him. Then you have this guy Robinson there, Crosby, Kuntz, and it also hedges you against maybe what if Kuntz, I don't want to say this, what if Kuntz is kind of takes a step back one year? It can happen. These things can happen. Defensive line is like pitching in baseball. You can't have enough. You got to go 8 deep. And even if you think you have too many, draft one anyways, because guys get hurt. Guys have down years.
Yeah, and with Tyree, that's really what it's about with him. Is that Malcolm Kuntz kind of just took his job, but I think Kuntz kind of figured out how to pass rush in this league. But the thing is with Kuntz that people don't talk about is that he really became a lot better of a run defender. I think he actually had 11% run stop percentage, which was like 3rd in the NFL. So he that's where he's going to step up. He's going to become an every down guy. So Tyree Wilson has to get in where he fit in, but I mean, if Tyree Wilson can become what's Jermaine Johnson, who does not start for the Jets, which this is my whole vision for him. I was like, you're Jermaine Johnson. You're going to just suck this year 1 because, Jermaine Johnson was not good year 1. And then year 2, Jermaine Johnson was just everywhere for that Jets rotation, killing people inside. So I think, and they kind of have a similar build, right? They're big guys, kind of stiff. And I hope he takes that leap like Jermaine Johnson did, where he's just rushing the passer like a insane man from inside on 3rd down, and they have a crazy rotation and they can just mix it up. And that's why I would like somebody like Darius Robinson to bring in, because even like I said, even if they get like somebody in DTs, or I see somebody talking about bringing back Adam Butler for like depth, and those are the type of good players, right? I still think having a young player that is a stud is
it's a great pick. I think it's a great pick. I think it allows you to do so many things on defense. Like, it's such a advantage for DC to have to, like, Patrick Graham, and I think Antonio Pierce is going to be involved too, just to be able to show different fronts. It'll be great.
All right, so with your number 2 pick, you went with a defensive back who actually had a down year this year.
Yep.
But he had a pretty good Senior Bowl, week. So he's definitely an option, and I think people will like him a lot. I bet he's gonna have a huge combine, and I think that's where he's gonna come back, because he was a top 10 corner going into this year. So, and that man is Galen King.
Yeah, I like him. I like him. I like him. Little, you're gonna notice there's not a 6 on his height number. Like, he's not a big long corner. But he plays really hard. I think I watched a few games of his. Like, he's just really, really technically sound, and he's scheme versatile is what I like about him. And if Patrick Graham wants to mix things up, which he does, right? Patrick Graham doesn't have I run this. He does a lot of game planning. So Kalen King does pretty well in off coverage. He does well in press man. Doesn't do anything elite. However, his freshman year, he had, I think it was 21 passes defense. Like that's there. He had a down year, right? Maybe Joey Porter Jr. going to the NFL and him becoming the number 1 is different. But the way I envision the Raiders is having a bunch of number 2s in the secondary, but a bunch of number 2s and no number 4s. You're right. Instead of the traditional 1 lockdown corner, I want them to have a bunch of like 1As and 2s in the secondary, and I think he's just one of those guys. And he's willing. Like, he had on his tape has some like pretty bad missed tackles, but it's never out of effort. He's always there. He's always around there. So I like that in a corner where it's like, okay, can I put 5 to 6 pounds on you, get you in an NFL weight room, and like get you to, at Penn State, they're not taking corners that don't tackle. So I just think that's it's a good guy to bet on.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think his film for 2023 is not as
It's
bad.
not bad. It's not
Yeah,
bad.
it's not bad, and that's what I said. The combine's really gonna change a lot of things because he's an athletic freak. I mean, everybody at Penn State is.
He'll get beat
So
by a T. Higgins. Is what's going to happen is like if he's facing a wide receiver who is just a monster, like huge person, like it's gonna happen. But for the most part, like he's there. I love when guys are just there and they're battling, and that's what I saw on his tape.
yeah, because I mean, what happens with him is like the last 2 years he had to guard Marvin Harrison Jr. It wasn't Joey Porter. Joey Porter didn't guard him. It was
Right.
Caleb King, right?
Yeah.
And you know that's a tough matchup for anybody, right? And you're gonna get beat. I mean, he's gonna get beat there. He just got beat a lot more this year. But you look at his career completion percentage; it's 48.3. His career passer rating was like 67. Like it's those type of things where they have a down year. And that's the type of thing we ignore that for a quarterback, right? Like Drake May had a down year. He did. He had a down year from what he did the year before. He did like almost 40 touchdowns one year, and then the next year he wasn't the same. And he has a first round receiver this year, and I forgot the guy's name, but he's supposed to score first round, and he's had a down year, and we're still going to take him top 5. But like Kalen King,
Yeah.
he kind of falls off a little bit, and now we're like, oh, we're going to get it. So I think if at 44, this is a good pick because he has a lot of upside. He comes from a team that plays press coverage, which they do in the NFL. They play press coverage. My only thing is that Big Ten corners do scare me a little bit. But Joey Porter Jr. looks pretty good in the NFL right now, and I think somebody else did.
There's guys,
Yeah.
Denzel Ward. Yeah. I mean, look, Cooper DeJean is going to go in the first round. Like people are going to take Big Ten corners. It's going to be a thing. So like I said, it's the second round. I'm operating as though McKinstry is off the board. Terry and Arnold, Nate Wiggins, Cooper DeJean, all those guys are off the board, right? So
yeah.
And you're adding to a secondary now. Can we call Jack Jones this lockdown amazing corner? No, we can't call him that yet. However, I do think he's got it. And if you add another guy there, plus a Hobbs, Amik Robertson in the slot, I think you're doing pretty well there because I think the Raiders got really good safety play last year. I think that's really good with perhaps adding. In my scenario, they've added a little bit of veteran leadership up to the front of the group of the defensive front, and then you're drafting a Kalen King to be perhaps your CB3 if you're going that way to start.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of upside there because I mean we're being honest here. To the right side of the field, I mean, we got Jack Jones, right? Mm-hmm. You got Nate Hobbs, who plays at inside mostly, right? That's where he's best at. So the Raiders do need another outside guy, which who they're probably going to find some guys in free agency. If they go big, that's where they know we're going to do in the draft. But I think if they go like solid veteran, that kind of tells us what they're going to do in the draft too. Which I think if they go for corner, I do think the DBs in the draft are pretty good. But like somebody like that, Kalen King, who people are sleeping on because they had a bad year, but I think he'll wake people up at the combine once he shows off his athleticism a little bit.
Yeah.
And he'll be back in the mix there. But yeah, so I do like that pick because I think we're betting. To me, it kind of feels like I'm not gonna say he's Stingley, but it kind of feels like that. And Stingley ended up going 3 anyways because his pro day looked like a robot. But Kalen King, he kind of has that kind of mystique to him where he was great for 2 years, and then this past year he wasn't that good. And we'll see with that.
And for fans who are just joining the live stream right now, from my side, I've picked JJ McCarthy at 13. Kalen King at 44, and you have picked Talisi Fuaga, and was it Denarius Robinson?
Darius Robertson.
Darius Robertson at 44. So just for anybody who's catching up right now.
Yeah. Aaron and I doing a whole mock draft. We'll do that before we got tons of time, and the draft's not until April. If you always forget how long the draft and the April bullshit we had to hear for a whole fucking month. I totally forgot about that shit. I know. All right. So 3rd round. Okay, and this is what it gets interesting. We're gonna go with Glen's first. I think Glen's gonna be a little controversial, guys. I do think you went there with this one, but I actually do like this guy a lot. And because I was watching, who was I watching? I was watching Joe Alt the other day, And of course, this dude of course, he stuck out a lot while I was watching it.
MVP of the team, by the way.
This is an interesting one. Audric Estime from Notre Dame. 5'11", 227, 18 touchdowns, 6.4 YPC, 64 missed tackles. Glenn, why did you take Audric Estime?
He's a stud. I mean, look, you are going to get further in the draft than I ever will. On this, you're gonna watch more film than me. This is a homer pick, but I think it's going to end up being a need. Now, I think the Raiders are going to bring back Josh Jacobs. I am not in favor of that. I don't think Tom Telesco is going to pay him. I think they're going to use that. They have an option to use a franchise tag. I think they're going to play hardball with him, and Antonio Pierce is going to try to coax him to play for whatever million a year on the franchise tag. I think that's what's going to happen. But to me, Estime is a tank. I mean, you look at the height and weight. I mean, that guy is 5'11", 227. He is a stud. I watched him in person. Stanford is not a very good team, but he absolutely treated that like it was like his high school highlights is what it looked like. He is a monster. They had a good offensive line at Notre Dame. They always do, but he is every bit as good. And he's a goal line that when the Raiders are tough in those short yardage situations, Estime is, in my opinion, one of the best short yardage backs in this draft. Third round might be rich. Some people might take him in the fourth or whatever. I'm telling you, I think this guy is like a starting running back. So, yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
What's that? Well, no, I don't know his stock. Like, what do you think?
Well, third round is where he's probably going.
Okay.
Probably second, maybe second.
Yeah, he's not a pass catcher. He's just not. Like, it's not what they did with him that much. I mean, I think he can. I don't think it's something that can't happen. I don't know if he's like an advanced route runner. But I think like he can catch a ball in the flat. I don't think that's an issue. And he is Raider fans will like him right away because he's not like Josh Jacobs, but he has that shiftiness for a big guy that can punish you as well. That Raider fans will love. I think it's going to fit that Getsy offense. So look, you're my team. If this is going the way I'm going, you have JJ McCarthy. You got a couple good veteran receivers on the outside. We're hoping that this is a run heavy offense with in the first year. If you have JJ McCarthy and Audric Estime, I think it works. I think you've established an identity.
Yeah. See, the thing with Estime, man, is that he has pretty good long speed too. That's
he does. It's deceptive.
He
might test well. He might test better than people think.
So the thing is, he's 227 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if he runs a 4.5, that's fast.
Yeah.
I think that's what Derrick Henry ran. I don't know what Derrick Henry ran, but I think it was like a 4.5, right? 4.5, 4.47, something not that crazy. I mean, if he ran like a 4, that would be go first round. But that's where his placement in the draft is gonna equal out because his film is pretty damn good. I mean, I was watching Joe Alt and he caught my eye. Right,
he's a pass protector too, and in pass protection, he's really good. Like I'm not trying to toot my program's horn, but like that, they're a really good pass protecting team. Theo Riddick was a guy that stayed in the NFL because he could pass protect. Like it from Notre Dame. Like that's what you do when you're a running back there, and he's good in that regard. And I think that might coaches just love that, and I think just. I'm just saying he's one of those guys. Whoever drafts him, keep an eye on him because I hope it's the Raiders and they could use him. I know people say Zamir White's good, I do think he's got some. He looked night and day different once Pierce got the job. I thought, and in a good way. And I think it's something that's kind of sustainable. Well, why not have another guy that's really good and doesn't cost you a lot? It's a third round pick. It's not. Tanner Muse was a third round pick. So, I'm not trying to bring up names from the past. I'm just saying I understand not investing a day 2 pick in the running back. Some people want these like 7th round Isaiah Pacheco guys. This guy can play. This guy can play.
He's a stud, man. He is, dude. That would be. I'm interested to see him at the combine because he is just so athletic on film.
He is fast. Like
I jumped over somebody. Like it was against. I was watching NC State, the NC State game where he had like the 80-yard run on the first play back from the break.
He's a monster. I mean, against Clemson, he had a few big runs. They had a bad game against Clemson, but he had some huge runs in that game. And Stanford is, like I said, it looks like high school to him. And they're bad, but it's still a D1 team. Like it's just, yeah. It's Britton Brown. This guy's saying Britton Brown. I forgot about Britton Brown. Like, is that a thing now, or is that a meme?
See, Henry ran a 4.54.
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
He's
if
6'3".
it's
Yeah, and he's 6'3" or 6'4". I mean, I'm not saying he's Derrick Henry. What I am saying is he's like this like supercharged kind of like Frank Gore guy. You know what I mean? Like to me, like
yeah,
style of run just reminds me of like he runs smart too. It's like he understands when it's 2nd and 7. It's not like I'm trying to hit a home run every play. It's like, no, I can get 8 to 9 yards on 2nd and 7. And then when the defense is worn down, I'm going to just, I'm going to explode. A lot of it was Notre Dame's O-line, but like he was able to make when the line would block for 10 to 12 yards, like a beautiful run block play, he could take it 60 to 70. It happened a lot.
yeah, he's a monster, man. Because I literally looked and see if he was coming out this year. I was like, is he coming out?
It was a big debate. He loved being there, and I remember my dad's a big fan.
I remember that.
He wants him on the Ram. My dad's a Rams fan. I'm like, well, I want him too. It's gonna be an arms race between us two.
All right. So last pick here for the draft. Now, this one is a little bit of a no-name for most people, but he had a huge Senior Bowl. All right. And I watched him at the Senior Bowl, and he was running routes with the guys on one-on-ones. He was knocking every pass down. I don't even know if he got a pass completed on him in one-on-ones. He just basically dominated the whole Senior Bowl. All right. And then in the game, he had a great game. And I think this is somebody that, kind of is going to rise a little bit. I'm interested to see how he looks at the combine. But I took Jarvis Brownlee Jr. from Louisville, 5'10", 183, as a cornerback. Allowed a completion percentage of 51.5%. Now, he's just a feisty dude, man. This is a press coverage guy who come in, he'll play press, which they started to do at the end of the year a lot more, which I really like. And he can play zone too, and he's a pretty smart player. Now, he can be beat though, right? That's the type of thing. He does get beat on film, but the Senior Bowl, nobody beat him at the Senior Bowl. There wasn't a single soul, right? So that kind of shows how he is on competition, how tough he is, how he was literally embarrassing guys out there, like literally throwing them on the ground in press coverage, running the routes for them, picking it off. It was just he literally just caught my eye immediately. And I think he's somebody that's going to rise and kind of bring that toughness that Antonio Pierce likes. And in the 3rd round, you can mix it up and get some of these DBs, but I think he's going to rise. This is a guy who, with the Senior Bowl that he put up, getting an interception in the Senior Bowl, getting interceptions in practice, dominating in practice. This is a guy that the Raiders are really going to like, in my opinion, just because they're out there too, watching those practices. Yeah, he was a beast out there, man. And this is the type of guy I think they could find in the 3rd round that they can really like and kind of bring some more toughness to his DBs. And this is kind of the time, like your 3rd and 4th round, if you're looking for these extra DBs. I mean, this is where they got Ja'Cory Bennett last year. A lot of people want to see him be outside, and maybe he earns that shot. He had a great. He started the year last year, right? So he obviously has a good idea of picking up that offense and the defense. And maybe he'll grow, but you can never have enough DBs. So that's kind of my thing. And we don't know who they're going to lose, a Meek or whatever they're going to do with that. And I think Brownlee is somebody that can move around too. You can move him inside a little bit. So yeah, he's just a player that I really like, and he caught my eye at the Senior Bowl.
Yeah, just add to the secondary. I mean, just the Raiders do have a chance this draft. Now, I think some people, and I'm one of these people. I think you have to leave, whether it's in free agency or with the draft. You do have to leave with something quarterback wise that's not Aiden O'Connell. Like you do. Now, that being said, for most of the roster, you're not set anywhere. That doesn't mean that they have weaknesses everywhere, but it's like you can add, if there's somebody really good, they can go the best player available route. Fans might, bitch and moan about it, but it's like, okay, well, just because we need a defensive tackle, I'm not going to get a mid defensive tackle just to say we need a defensive tackle. If I see a wide receiver, a corner, a tackle, a line, there's linebackers. It's not a great linebacker draft, but there might be some linebacker depth round 2 and 3. There might be something there. This team can afford to do that, and I think it's going to be. I'm really, really excited for this offseason.
Yeah, I am too. So, because you're right, because I almost took Spencer Rattler in my mock draft. I thought.
He's on my list.
I thought about it. I was like, maybe I'll take Spencer Rattler.
So what do you think of this situation? Because this is like actually what I want to do in the draft. Now I like JJ McCarthy, and if they take him at 13 or even higher, I'm fine with it. And I see the vision. I understand it. And I'd be even excited. Now, what would you think of this? Because I think Rattler's going to rise. I think with the QB market is so high that guys are going to get overdrafted everywhere, and that's fine. If they're the guy, they're the guy. Best player available at 13, whether that's Byron Murphy, Fuaga, Jared Verse. I don't know any of these guys. Like there could be any of these guys. Trade back into the first from your from 44. Trade back into the first 44, and let's say a later pick to get a Spencer Rattler, Penix, whatever, this type of person. You get that 5-year deal. What do you think of that? Because I actually think that would be my strategy.
So if they traded back into the first round to get a quarterback, I would. It'd be tough for me. Would it be Rattler or Penix? I'd probably go Penix.
I just mean that tier. That tier is what I mean. Like that's what
I want. I would probably lean that way. Just because Penix, I think there's more upside to him with Rattler. I think Rattler is talented, right? His tape is actually not bad. He actually has pretty good tape. I think, of course, he's short, so the same thing. I mean, like seeing the field and stuff like that. But when he gets out of the pocket, I think he's a tough player too. He's a tough dude. He could run the system. He could run zone read. He makes guys miss in open field. I think his running ability is super underrated. People don't talk about how well he is as a runner with the ball in his hands, and so he could run the offense. Like if they brought him in and Luke Getsy wanted to develop him, he's the perfect guy because he can run the offense. He can do zone read. He can do any of those things that you like. He can even run some QB powers or whatever with Spencer Rattler. And he has a big arm, man. He could throw it to anywhere. And it's more about him, how he sees the field a little bit. There's some plays against Georgia that if he actually saw those throws, they beat Georgia. So that was kind of my thing with him, is like, how good are you? Because you should have beat Georgia if you really were
right
as good as people are buzzing you about at this point. So that's kind of my thing with him, because so in the third round and the second round of this, I thought about it, but then I was like, man, like, should the Raiders take another third round quarterback?
No.
And that's why I didn't do it. But I that's why, with him, because that's how it is. It's like he's not really a first round guy, but he's kind of like a second, third round type of dude. And then, you don't know about the off if he's, they say he's mature and he's really showing that. But, Johnny Manziel, man. So,
I'm just saying, take that tier of quarterback, that second tier that people aren't really excited about. But like, if the Raiders were to add a blue chip at 13, which can happen, and then trade up, I should say, trade back into the first round, but trade up from pick 44 to go get their quarterback of the future, a guy that they really like, to get that 5th-year option. That to me is the route that I would go if you cannot get into the top 3.
Yeah. I mean, that would be, that would probably be the best route. See, the thing is with Knicks too, I want to talk about Knicks a little bit. Yeah, I know Knicks is getting that buzz at 13, but I feel like when you're a quarterback and you're getting mocked at 13 right now, you're really going to go deeper in the draft than people think.
Right.
So that could be a guy that they might trade up into the first round for too, if they really go that route. But Knicks just, it's more about if he is a check down Charlie, because I just didn't like
I don't see like greatness in him. I just see like serviceable to good, kind of like a Tannehill-y kind of quarterback, like just kind of like that's fine. Hey, like Tannehill in his prime with like the Titans was very good and would have the Raiders in the playoffs almost every year.
Yeah.
But I just mean, like, I wouldn't be super excited. But I'm just saying to the Raider fans, like, everybody wants them to make this huge trade. I think they're going to be aggressive. I think they're going to try. And it's okay if they go that route too. Lamar Jackson was picked at 32. These guys do get picked. You look at the 2021 draft, Trevor Lawrence. We have questions about him still. Zach Wilson stinks. Trey Lance stinks. Mac Jones stinks. Like
Justin Fields, man.
Justin Fields, we don't know yet. It's just like a lot of these things where it's like these guys, generational franchise changers. Look, the film might look good, but things happen. So I think it's better to trade back into the first round and get the guy who you can sit for a little bit, doesn't have a bunch of hype around him, guy that you think fits, that interviewed well, and the Raiders have a pretty good situation for a rookie quarterback, I think, right now. So I think they have a of the teams that are looking for a quarterback, they have a better situation than most. So that's just a scenario I want Raider fans to think about.
All right. So let's get some of these questions. The Carter Bradley day 3. I know I watched some Carter Bradley the other day, man. He's a tough dude, man. But I don't know what's gonna happen with him. He had a great Senior Bowl though. He did, because he's Gus Bradley's son. So
Wow.
he's getting drafted.
What'd you think of that Pratt guy? Pratt, was that his name?
He kept running. I'm like, bro, you're playing 7-on-7. Like, why are you can't run for a first down here? That's what. So that kind of shows how he's going to play in the NFL. Because if you're taking off on 7-on-7,
yeah,
no. But he had a big arm though. I was kind of shocked. I didn't see that on film as much. But one day he even threw the ball harder than Joe Milton. So that kind of shows how big his arm was.
Wow.
Yeah,
Milton's another guy too. I think he's going to rise. I think he's going to throw really well at the combine. And I think he's going to be a guy that rises like even above like a Penix. I could even see like a scenario where Milton goes ahead of Penix, where just teams are like big, strong arm, can run a little bit, not injured all the time.
Yeah. So what other questions we got here? I'm curious right now. Be mad if the Raiders trade a lot of capital to move up to 3 to get Jaden Daniels.
No.
I wouldn't be mad at it. I just hope they have a damn good plan for it. I hope they have a plan.
I think they do. I think Luke Getsy's a pretty good coordinator for Jaden Daniels. I think he's better than Justin.
Well, not even just for that. I mean, talking about losing all those draft picks.
Yeah, no, agreed. And that's why you get AP is you think he's the guy that can get the free agents to come over, the guy who's, feels like a player coach kind of guy, like a player and I don't mean a player's coach. I mean he's a guy who knows how to talk to players because he was one and stuff. And I could see him Vegas with their tax laws and stuff. That's what you want with this. What you're doing when you get Jaden Daniels is like, look, I have Devontae Adams, who is. Look, I thought he was a trade chip. I actually don't think they're going to even I don't even think they're going to pick up the phone for him anymore unless the Jets say first round, pick 9. That is like maybe. And I still don't even know for the most part. But like Adams, Myers, Mayer, plus the run game that I expect to get actually pretty damn good under Luke Getsy. I think that's to bring in a Daniels is like we're set on offense. Not set. We could always add, but we don't need these young guys that are going to take a couple years. And I'm for it. Like, go do it. Go do it if you're going to do it. I just can't operate as though they're going to do that. That's a big prediction.
Yeah, it is. It is. And then, Daniels would come in, and I think he would do really well, especially with the guys that he has around him, right? And I think when he's decisive, he looks like a pretty good quarterback, man. So, and of course, it's the running ability. It's more with him. I'm worried he's going to get hurt.
Exactly. No,
that's why you have Aiden O'Connell.
So. Exactly. You have even if you don't want to start Jaden right away, it could be a controversy or whatever. But what if Aiden O'Connell is just like, nah, man, I'm not losing this job. Like, I'm going to play well. I'm going to run this offense really good. But Getsy, of course, is going to want the guy to run the quarterback design run stuff with. So that would propel that. But to me, if you're going to go get Jaden Daniels, if the Patriots are going to trade down, which I think is more of a possibility than most. If they're going to trade down, I think they're going to get a lot for the picks. Washington, I don't believe is going to trade down, but if they're going to trade down, then go do it. Go be the team that does it. I think it's worth it.
Do you realize that if we still had Josh McDaniels, we'd probably be trading for Mac Jones right now?
Oh, Mac Jones. I think there's so. What I love about this right now is that anybody fits. Like so often with Josh McDaniels, you're looking at if you mark yourself like, hey, what are your top free agent wide receivers for the Raiders? Like if somebody asks you to write that, you're like, okay, I have to think about what Josh McDaniels likes.
Exactly.
Because like all these guys that I like, well, are they Patriots? Are they Raiders? What they tell me first is like, are they ballers? And it's like, great, sounds good.
Exactly. All right. DT, Jonathan Allen, and Sam Halford, Devontae Adams, and we get T. Higgins and Leonard Williams in free agency.
That's a lot. That's a lot happening. That's a lot.
I mean, not for Sam. I mean, it's not
Sam Howell.
I'm not a big. Sam Howell took like 80 sacks, man.
Yeah, no. Jonathan Allen, I'll just trade a pick for him in that scenario. That's what I would do. I would
What do
just
you want, a
trade.
third? I mean, he's a
Yeah,
third, right?
I will give you my 3rd round pick, and we will pay Jonathan Allen, and then all the other stuff. You guys, we'll just keep what we have.
Yeah, because I don't think they're going to trade Devontae Adams.
No,
Even though
not with Getsy here. That's an Adams hire, in my opinion.
Even though if you're a fan of the channel, you know how I feel about T. Higgins. But Leonard Williams is probably an interesting one because he has a Patrick Graham connection. That's an interesting free agent though, because he does have the Patrick Graham connection. So that's super interesting.
Yep.
But I just don't think they're going to trade Adams, especially with Getsy. They're not trading him. He's excited now. He's like, oh man, we got him. Jordan Travis. I watched Jordan Travis for a game, and he just like sprayed the ball over the field. So I don't know. And with that knee, I don't know. I don't think he'll get drafted.
No, he's a 6th, 7th round pick. Man, whatever. If you have a pick, why not? But yeah,
balls everywhere.
Yeah, but no, I agreed with you. It's not a guy. That's
Talua. I haven't gotten to him yet. But I know that he's a back end guy. He went to the East West Shrine game.
I lost money on him this year betting for him to cover against Ohio State when they had the lead and they lost like a 17.5 point cover. He's a right-handed version of his brother if his brother was not in Mike McDaniel's offense. So
yeah,
no, I'm not a big fan.
Yeah. He's a Sam Howell AL4. I mean, I don't know.
I disagree. I
don't know. See, Sam Howell takes so many sacks, guys.
I disagree. You're just watching highlights if you're watching Sam Howell. Sam Howell makes better throws than Aiden O'Connell. Like
he does.
Better highlight throws. He's got a cannon.
He's a good arm.
Yeah, he's got like some Baker Mayfield to his game. But to be honest, like Aiden, I think there's a timing thing with Aiden that I think is really good and just a smart player that is not Sam Howell.
I think Aiden's film is better than his stats and his reputation. That's the thing. But I know they're going to try to do something and try to move on from him a little bit because he's a 4th round pick. But I mean, it's not like he's just awful. My thing.
Yeah.
But Sam Howell does have some interesting traits to him. It's just he just takes so many sacks.
It's a lot.
Like, you get sacked 80 times, man. That's not an offensive line.
It's tough to get rid of that. It's tough to get that out of the game to like throw the ball. It's just real when you cannot get rid of the ball. It's just really hard to coach that.
Yeah, but I mean, either did Lamar Jackson against them, really. So,
yeah, I just I've never confused Sam Howell for Lamar Jackson in my life.
I don't mean the Chiefs defense was literally was historic, to be honest. Let's keep it real. I mean, they had that many. They're like had 20 games with less than 28 points or something. That's like it's better than the 2000 Ravens. So it's crazy. Do we think McCarthy goes in the top 20?
Yes.
Yes, he does, man.
Quarterback 4. Quarterback 4 goes in the top 20 this year.
Man. Yeah. The thing is if he goes in front of some of the other guys, which I think is still a possibility. I still think we're getting crazy here. And, the Commanders are just the Commanders. And, they end up, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I know Cliff Kingsbury, he throws he does throw a great quick hitch. So, Cliff might really like it. Oh, Javon Kinlaw? Is Kinlaw like, isn't he like, I feel like he should still be in the Niners if he was good.
Yeah, it would be they cut him. They don't, it would be because they cut them and you're giving him a second chance. Hey, on 1-year deal, whatever, fine, bring him into camp, I guess. He has not been good. And I was scared when they drafted him because I don't like the Niners, but when they drafted him, I was scared. I thought he was really good at South Carolina. But yeah, I mean, look, it's the Raider way, right? The Al Davis way. When there's a first round bust, is let me take a look at him. I like it.
His calves are bigger than my whole body.
Yeah,
so,
Javon
Kinlaw.
He ate a squirrel, dude. Like he grabbed a squirrel with his teeth and it did an interview with somebody like on Sky. Like, no, I like that. Let's try it. I get it. Let me find out it doesn't work.
He's the biggest human being I've ever seen, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy how huge he is. When I was in the Senior Bowl, I was like, "Oh my god, you are a specimen." And he went out there for took 5 practice snaps and then went home. It was hilarious. Leonard Williams or Christian Wilkins?
Wilkins. I like Christian Wilkins a lot.
Yeah, I think they'll have a chance. Somebody said that about Patrick Graham and Williams, and now I'm like, damn, they probably already get.
No, it's a fit. I think Wilkins is just the better player all around, like on both sides, both ends of the rush and run defense. What Leonard Williams flashes a lot when he's really good, and I'd be fine with adding either of these guys, but Wilkins is the guy for me.
I mean, he did have his best years with Patrick Graham. He
Yeah,
did,
no,
to be
great.
honest. His best
He's
years
gonna get paid
in
though.
NFL.
I think he's gonna get paid a lot of money. Like, and he's Amari Cooper's draft class, right? I know he's still kind of young, but like
Mhm.
Christian Wilkins is younger. That's
Yeah,
just the way I see it.
it's retribution for Raiders fans who wanted Leonard Williams back
Yeah.
then. That's what it really is, Um, but yeah, I think Leonard Williams, since he had his best career years with Patrick Graham, I think you could probably get him to come here, and I think he's gonna like
Yeah,
the AP, and Mark
sure.
Davis got that
Southern
great food, man, in
California
the cafeteria.
Southern California kind of thing with AP kind of. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. The Raiders got a great cafeteria, man. He's a big dude. Just saying. All right. Are we good with Morgan, Epps, and Palomalo? I think the Raiders are. I think it's a pretty good safe.
I do. I think all three of those guys played really well this year.
Yeah. What else we got? L'Jarius Sneed or Jalen Johnson?
I'm a Snead guy. I'm a Snead guy. I think you might be a Jalen guy.
Yeah, I like Sneed a lot too. But I feel like Johnson is probably cheaper now. But I feel like Johnson's gonna get. Well, the Bears traded Roquan Smith, so I can't say anything.
Yeah.
They just gave the Ravens the best defensive football. Like, here you go, have the best defensive football. Yeah. So, it kind of, Patrick Queen's out there. So I mean, the Raiders might sign him, which I think would be a big deal. Even though they really like Spillane and Diablo, but we'll see how they feel about that. But I think Jalen Johnson would be cheaper at this point than Snead. I think Snead he kind of solidified himself as a top 5 NFL corner. He's all pro, had his best year, and he's trending. I mean, he shut down Devontae Adams. He shut down everybody. So he'd be more expensive, and Jalen Johnson's just a stud, dude. He's a stud.
I just think Snead. I think Snead just has that like kind of nastiness to him, like that kind of that. And Chris Jones drunkenly said, "I'm not going anywhere." So perhaps the Chiefs' money goes to Chris Jones and not Snead. Perhaps he's the free agent, hits the open market.
Let's see, any good free agent guards or centers? Yeah, so there is some. I talked about Kevin Dotson and Cushenberry on the show. So those are Cushenberry is a stud. Not even really because how he blocks. I just think if you put him in a center, the Raiders would have one of the better offensive lines, whoever they bring in, because he just has everybody in sync, and he is legit at center. I really liked him. Kevin Dotson is out there. There's some other good players. Right tackle is not something that the Raiders can do unless they want a 40-year-old to come play right tackle, because it's always out there at tackle for free agency. So that's why I feel like they're going to go to the draft or just bring back Illuminor. But at free agency, there's some good centers. I mean, if the Eagles want to be stupid and Jason Kelsey wants to come play against his brother, we could sneak that in too as well. Get a year of Jason Kelsey that last final year because he's out there too. But I'm sure the Eagles will bring him back. I'm just tripping, but yeah, I mean the Raiders can really make it happen in free agency especially with thank you Jimmy G. That's what I feel like should name this episode.
Thank you, major key. That was a major key.
Shout out to Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Let's pull Marcus Peters. I hope not, man.
We're talking about guys at completely different parts of their career.
Dalton, see, I see. Like I was on a Raiders podcast. Shout out my Big Z, but Dalton Wagner is out there. But I just feel like with NFL teams, undrafted free agents, they just don't get that. They just don't get that love like that. So even if he is talented enough, they just don't like. You're undrafted. That's how they treat you. I mean, look how they treat Brock Purdy just because he's a 7th round pick. He's Mr. Relevant. You know what I mean? So that's my thing with that. I don't know how they would treat him.
I mean, he probably gets invited to camp. Who's going to steal him? Like, go invite him to camp. If he starts ragdolling people and stuff and just comes out there and plays amazing, then yeah, he's a part of the team. It's like you're not competing against anyone but yourself for Dalton Wagner.
So DeForest Buckner, I don't know if he's free agent, but I guess he's talking about him being signed. or being released. Somebody's talked about that, but that would be a big one too. That'd be a big guy if they want to do that. But I still they should go Matabuke, because I think Matabuke won't be like
game and in the run
huge.
game.
Yeah, but yeah, the rest probably don't play around. But
you want Matabuke is just like a 3-down D lineman. I mean, like that's like a huge haul if you get him.
Have the Raiders hired a quarterback coach?
No, it's been weird with the offensive staff. I feel like, I mean, we're assuming this was that the guy they're hiring for the O-line from LSU and the Niners. Like, we're assuming, look, they've lost 2 coaches already that they've quote unquote hired, Deshaun Foster and Cliff Kingsbury. So I'm like, I don't even know what the staff is right now. That's the weirdest part about this.
Yeah, man, they haven't hired a quarterback coach. Or interesting. I mean, it might be Hugh. I don't know what their plan is with that, but man, that is pretty crazy. The O-line coach is, I kind of like that hire, because it's kind of a guy who was really good in college, hasn't got a shot in the NFL.
But is he hired? Is what I'm asking. Is he hired? Like, I can't. Like, man, they've lost 2 guys that they've agreed.
Yeah, I don't even talk about that, man. Whatever. What do you think the ceiling is for Rattler? I think if Rattler can put it together, I think he could be an NFL starter. I do think he could do that, just because the athleticism he has and the arm, he can make every throw.
Like a Kyler Murray type, right? Like a little slightly taller Kyler Murray, wouldn't you say? I that's what I see.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I kind of see him like that too. What AP was undrafted, but it's still a scouting department. I'm telling you, they're haters of undrafted players. They just are, guys.
Tom Telesco is doing this, by the way.
Yeah, they're undrafted player haters. They are. I'm telling you guys right now. The NFL is an undrafted player hater. You have to be 10 times better than that 3rd round pick, which is stupid, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh no, you gotta like dominate. Yeah.
Yeah. So Hunter Ellis drafted DT. I did that, man. I got you Darius Robinson there for the draft. Is our new O-line coach good or better than our last? We don't know. That's the thing with James Craig. Or am I saying this wrong? Craig? That's the thing, is we don't know. That's why I'm kind of excited about him, because he had a Joe Moore Award offensive line in at LSU, and they won the national championship, and all those guys are in the NFL. And I'm talking about Lloyd Cushenberry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I liked about it, the mystery of it. Like, we don't know. I don't know, man. I mean, he was good at LSU.
I think he's trying to do, like, from that Shanahan kind of, or not Shanahan, but it's LaFleur by way of Shanahan. You know, I like that. So it seems like it fits.
See, this guy, he came late, but he knows the show. I feel like this guy's just read us.
Yeah, you don't need to. I guess you don't need to rewind.
You need to rewind, man. We took McCarthy at 13.
Guess what? I think you might like my mock draft. So
I think so.
Yeah, you might like that.
You think Tyree takes a big step in year 2 with a full off season?
Yeah, and I think year 3 is the year where I think we're like, oh man, they got like an actual stud. Year 2, I expect way more flash plays, like way more like sack fumbles, kind of like 4-yard losses, run blow ups. Like, I expect that to happen. I expect a more confident player. I expect a player with a healed foot, full off season with that. I expect a player that's added maybe 10 pounds of good weight, muscle. You know, I mean, his frame, like, does he have 36-inch arms? Like they can take advantage of this frame and add to it. I think he is going to end up being an inside player. So I might as well get him to like 290 or something like that. What is he at, like 280 right now? 280, 275, something like that.
Yeah.
Get him to close, around 285, 290, and just kind of put him matchup based with a person that they think that he can just whip all game. And I think you're going to see some big flash plays. Like, some people might think he was overdrafted, but Jalen Carter's trying to, threatening to kill people's entire families. So I'm glad that Tyree Wilson is being a nice model citizen in Las Vegas.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know if that story's true. I'm just saying, we have to. Everybody did the Jalen Carter thing. I'm like, hey, the whole thing is that maybe he's insane and like going to jail. So like, let's wait through his rookie contract to see what happens.
Yeah, but he keep it off of the other year too. But I'll say this with Tyree. Though. Tyree got better every single week.
Absolutely. I saw it. I see it.
That's the thing with him, is that since he got better every single week, he obviously is a worker. You always saw him before the games really working on his pass rush moves. I think he is somebody with the upside. And that's what's talking about Jermaine Johnson, because Jermaine Johnson is really the same profile as Tyree Wilson coming out. He went 21 to the Jets, I think, in 2022, right? And he was not good year one. He was not. But last year, he was a monster. I think he actually got added to the Pro Bowl. So that's where I hope that Tyree Wilson takes that step like he did. And Jermaine Johnson was unblockable from inside. Like, he was just killing guards. If it was third down versus the Jets, you were in trouble. You had Sauce Gardner, those guys locking everybody down. You had Bryce Huff coming off the edge. You had Quentin Williams, Jermaine Johnson coming at you, and you know who the other edge guy is. But that's what I'm talking about. Those type of pass rush is what the Raiders need. I mean, we playing Justin Herbert. We're playing Patrick Mahomes, especially for inside pass rush. We got to get after these guys. All right. I see somebody asked me about Tyler Harrell. I'm not 100% sure who. I think he's at the Senior Bowl, though. I think
419.
I think he was at the Senior Bowl. And what school is he from?
Tyler. I've never heard of this guy.
Yeah, but 419 is crazy. That's the Raiders. They need speed, man.
People are going to look at that. That's going to get attention.
They need speed. They need more speed on the outside. I like Jacoby Myers a lot. If we talk about undrafted players, but he went undrafted for a reason too. So, it's going to be interesting with Tyree Wilson too as well, and having him play inside. And I think that growth. I just hope they have that Jermaine Johnson outlook with them, because every time I watch Jermaine Johnson and I talk to some of these Jets guys I talk to, man, yeah, that was the growth. And I was like, man, hopefully that's my vision there.
Agreed.
All right. Anything else? I don't see any more questions that we skipped here. All right, guys. We went an hour and 30 minutes here. Got about 150 people in here today doing our mock draft. So I'll go back over our picks a little bit. So we went JJ McCarthy or Glen. I went to Talisi Fuaga. And then Glen went Kalen King from Penn State for corner. I went Darius Robinson. And move him inside a little bit. He could play both inside and outside. And then Glenn went with the running back Audrey Estime, and I went with Jarvis Brownlee from Louisville. So those are the picks. And yeah, we'll be out of here. So what did BD really likes AP? He does.
Good. I'm glad. That was a good question. I was wondering.
Harold was out the U. All right.
Really? Okay.
Interesting. All right, guys. So we appreciate you guys joining us, man. And like I said, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, subscribe. Check out all the draft content. Like I was saying in the last channel, draft content does not get old until the draft is over. So that draft content is good until April 27th or whatever the hell the draft is. So go ahead and check it out. We got Fuaga. We got all these guys we even talked about. We talked about Darius Robinson. We talked about everybody. So go ahead and check it out. And we got a whole bunch of draft stuff, man. Join the memberships. I got all the quarterback breakdowns. I got JJ McCarthy versus Alabama's up. So check that one out too if you want to join the membership. And we're out of here, guys. Peace.